relationship you would want
Yes.
in guys competing teams.
Yeah, it's a cooperative competition. They encourage each other, and that's what you want on your whole team. You want guys that push each other to get better, but they do it in a productive way, and those guys are emblematic of that. And it's not often that you'd spend this much time talking about the kicking competition, but it is a heck of a problem to have. It's a great problem to have, because we as a team, and I think you ask every player, they have faith in both of those guys because they've seen them both do it in games to win games. So it's a nice luxury for us.
When you're analyzing quarterbacks, coach, in these practices in the preseason, what are you looking for? What do you hope to find and see among the 3-4 guys that are playing for that job?
Well, first of all, you want to see poise under pressure. You want to see consistency in decision making, good decision making. You want to see guys that can, make tough throws in critical moments, that throw with accuracy, that have a really good understanding of our offense and understand if someone's not lined up right, how to get them lined up right, that have big picture awareness, and that can move the sticks. And we evaluate every single play, every single day. We evaluate who they're going against, who they're throwing to, the way they're managing practice, every drill. And it's been a really good competition. And we're only 8 days in, 8 practices in, but I don't know that there's been a whole lot of discrepancy between, who's 1, 2, and 3 right now. I think ideally you'd like to see some separation. I think that's your conventional wisdom is you'd like to see separation, but I see elevation out of all of them, and so that's a good thing as well.
I was going to ask about the diversity kind of in the play styles. Obviously you lose Robert Burns. Do you have a powerful guy that can kind of fill that role?
We're using Louis Hansen a little bit in that role. You've probably seen. Right now, kind of short yardage stuff. Louis catches the ball well. We've got to find out how he is as a runner. I think that Jalen can do some of those things. Jalen's a 210-pounder. He's not like Burnsy at 230. But that's okay. Yeah, I'd love to have Robert Burns here for another year. If we could get him back, get some kind of waiver from the NCAA, it'd be great. But I think, he's got a shot to make the Chicago Bears, which is awesome. We don't have that guy right now. We'll find.
So Hansen's playing some out of the backfield? Is that
a little bit? Yeah. You'll see him in the backfield a little bit. Sometimes in short yard situations. Sometimes in first and second down situations. It's not a mainstay of our offense, but it is a wrinkle that we'll use.
Jim, how does the diversity in that rushing attack help take pressure off your quarterbacks, especially since you're still trying to figure out who QB1 is?
Yeah, well, we always want to be able to run the football. I think that when you can run the football effectively, it opens up so many things for you offensively. And I think the diversity helps us, but the depth helps even more. It's just being able. We're not going to wear a guy down. I think with guys like with Devontae or Brew, they put pressure on the defense. The defense better be right because those guys can find a gap. They can get through it, and if they get through it, they're hard to catch. You put Victor and Jalen in there to pound them a little bit, to beat them down a little bit. So having an effective running game opens everything up, and it's no secret. We've talked about it. All of us have the whole offseason is seeing improvement in our passing game, and I'm seeing that improvement. So having a healthy running game with improving our passing game, we should be a more effective offense.
Where has Devontae improved from last year?
It's interesting. I would say his pass protection. Yeah, I know, and that's kind of something you overlook a little bit, but backs are asked to protect. And, we always talk about him catching the ball and running the ball, but I've seen him stand in there and take some linebackers on and give the quarterback just enough time to get the ball off. And, for 175 or 170 pounder, when you got 230 pounds coming at you, that's not always fun, but he stays in there, he anchors down, and does just enough to let the quarterback get the ball off.
We didn't see much of Brew last year. What do you like about him?
I think he's got really good quickness. I don't know, I think Devontae's probably one of the faster players on our team, but Brew can run. He's hard to tackle in space. He's shifty, and he'll protect as well. I think that with both of those guys, given that they're not the biggest guys in stature, it's critical to have that depth because you can't ask 170, 175 pounders just to run up in there all day long. It's going to take a toll on them. So having Victor, having Jalen, along with Devontae and Bruton really helps us.
How would you play of your offensive line?
Yes, I'm going to go here.
Go ahead.
I heard the
I'm
question.
sorry.
I like the way that those guys are performing, and I think that the key thing is that we're starting to develop depth there. You want to go through the season with the starting five that you started the season with, and have a consistency throughout the year with the lineup. But if it doesn't happen, I see us having developed some depth there, and I like that. And I think we're bigger, we're more physical. They work well together. They understand the scheme. They're very, very, very well coached by Coach Samus. I mean, he's an outstanding coach. And, that unit is typically one of the closest units on any football team I've ever been on, and it's no different with our guys. Okay,
So,
I'm
Coach,
sorry.
I know the focus is on your team and the season, but just some thoughts on this musical chairs that's going on right now with conference realignment, and it looks like the dissolving of the Pac-12 where you used to coach, and what that means even for this program going forward.
Yeah, I kind of stopped when the last week when all that amazing day happened. I kind of shut it down in terms of paying attention to it. But I'll answer your question because, my dad coached in the Pac-8. I played in the Pac-12 and coached the Pac-10 and coached in the Pac-12. So, I played at University of Washington. I coached at UCLA. My dad coached at Colorado. My son goes to Colorado. My dad coached at Stanford. I've always had an affinity for the Pac-12. And so to see it dissolve the way it has, to me, is sad. I don't like it. I've heard two people say probably what I feel better than I could ever say it, and that would be Eli Drinkowitz. I don't know if you guys saw his statement the other day. You should look at it. I think it's really good. I could never be that eloquent, and I thought what Dion said was right on in terms of everyone's chasing the bag, and I could never say it the way Dion said it either. So I would say the two guys that said it the best for me in terms of expressing how I feel would be Dion and Eli, and I agree with both of them. I'm sad to see what's happened to the Pac-12, just being that, that matters to me. Like the Big East matters to us out here because of our history there, and I'm learning it. The Pac-12 mattered to me, so I don't like what happened.
Where do you want UConn to end at the end of all these musical chairs? Do you need to be in a...
I want us to be in a Power 5 conference because I think it helps, like I said on day one, I think it helps our athletic department. I think it helps every student athlete. It certainly helps this football program, and I think that we're building something that is earning the right to be in a Power 12. This football team will compete with, not Power 12, Power 5. This team will compete with Power 5 football teams. We have the facilities, we have the people. We do more with less than any athletic department in the country, in my opinion, when you look at all the sports. And if we're able to increase our revenue stream where we can provide more for our football team, more resources, I think we just ascend. And quite frankly, I don't understand why people don't see it because they don't come here. I read in where, they don't have facilities. Yes, we do. This program was a proud, strong program years ago. We're getting back to that. And I hate to use the word deserve because to me the word deserve is an entitled word, but I think we are earning the right to be in a Power 5. And we'll compete against anybody. It's just, you see it by our schedule. We're not afraid to compete against anybody. Does that mean we're going to beat them right now? We'll see, because we're going to play the game. But in terms of competing, we'll compete against anybody. So.
Quarterback, you have a new guy that's part of the new guy to the team that's part of the competition. Can you just discuss what Joe Fagnano brings to the table and why he's competing for the starting job?
Joe brings poise, he brings snaps. So for a quarterback, when you're an NFL scout and you're evaluating quarterbacks, you're looking at wins, you're looking at snaps, you're looking at throws, you want count, you want to see experience. So Joe's got those things. He's got a lot of snaps. He's made a lot of throws. He's won games. He's been in pressure situations. He's responded, in games. He understands our system very well because he was with Nick. And even though we've tweaked it and changed it a little bit, Joe understands it. I think above all else, though, with Joe, it's just the poise he demonstrates on the field, the confidence that he's garnered from his teammates because of the way he conducts himself in workouts and meetings, at practice. He's unflappable. And that's what you want out of a quarterback. You know, he exudes confidence. And so when you're a quarterback, when you're a leader, when the guy taking the snaps has that confidence, it rubs off on everybody else.
Coach Cam Ross, the last 2 years, obviously haven't gone his way. But how have you seen him kind of come back and be able to participate? Obviously, especially that position, it feels like the skill is taking a step up. But how's he been able to work himself in?
I mean, I have so much respect for Cam. You know, to go through what he's gone through the last 2 years, I mean, a lot of guys would have given it up. And he hasn't. He's only worked harder. He's doubled down on everything that he's done. We're being very, very, very conservative with how we use him this year, especially in camp, because we got to get him to the starting line. You know, and that's for our football team, but maybe more importantly for Cam. And so, you know, if he's not feeling right, we're backing him off. Today I noticed him limping. We backed him off. We got to get him to the starting line, and he deserves that, and this team deserves that. But in terms of just attitude, personality, work ethic, resilience, he's just a great example for all of our players. Just stick to it, you know. There's going to be disappointments. Just keep grinding. So you love that, and he's a leader.
What about your secondary? A lot of new faces, especially at corner. How's that competition gone? It seems there's a lot of competition there.
It's been better competition than we've had since I've been here, which is 1 year. You know, I like the guys that we brought in. I like the way some of the young guys have developed. I like the way Damon Brinson's developed, Isaiah Davis has developed. You know, we got Cam Chadwick. We moved him from safety out to corner. He's done a nice job there for 2 days. Armani Archer's done a nice job. We haven't got to see Torian much, but he's working himself back into it. So you got to have depth at corner. Certainly, you know, this day and age when people are spreading the field out, and they're competitive, you know, and they're smart. You get Mumu in there, so you get a couple guys that played, you know, at the highest level. It's going to help you. So I like where we sit as a second round right now. And having 2 experienced safeties is